Sundoku. Noun. Language of origin, Japanese. Meaning. The act of acquiring books but allowing them to pile up unread.
Let's roll back the clock to 1996 and look at the top 10 highest grossing films of that year. Action movies have been redefined with CG spectacles like Independence Day, Twister, and The Rock, and Tom Cruise has a 1-2 punch of Mission Impossible and Jerry Maguire. The Hunchback of Notre Dame and a live-action 101 Dalmatians are Disney's more traditional fare, and Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor and Mel Gibson's Ransom, well, they exist. But in the number 10 spot, ranking in $250 million, is a movie that features two unconventional stars, but both preeminent in their fields, Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. My name is Chad Bonnet, and this is D-Pads and DLC, a look at retro and retro-inspired games. In anticipation of the sequel or reboot, the movie hasn't come out yet at the time of this recording, Digital Eclipse has gifted Xbox Game Pass Ultimate owners with a free copy of Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game. Instead of the obvious route, a simple basketball game or reskin of NBA Jam, New Legacy dives into the world of belt-scrolling beat-em-ups, a realm recently reignited by titles like Streets of Rage 4 and River City Girls. Is this another Chaos in the Windy City? Or Hoop, there it is. Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Comics, games, animation, and a variety of henshin credible superhero shows from Japan. Chad Bonin guides you through the Sundoku Zone.
To talk about Space Jam: A New Legacy, you can't ignore the original movie and its oddity. If you were a kid at the time of the original film, you would have been amazed by the special effects, the humor, and just the sheer craziness of a movie where Bugs Bunny and the rest of the notable Looney Tunes team up with Michael Jordan and face off against the Monstars, alien invaders who would enslave the Toons if they win a game of basketball.
The dream team, well, we're the mean team.
Siskel and Ebert, surprisingly, didn't even hate the movie, even if they were off about Michael Jordan's movie prospects.
The thing I liked was the high-energy animation of this film. I think it's state-of-the-art animation, and it's very good. You criticized the animation right at the beginning. I think, in general, the animation in this movie is a step up for Warner Brothers, and I think what they're trying to do is position the Looney Tune characters to be more competitive with Disney, which up until now has more or less owned the animation market.
I want to come back to Michael Jordan because I think that this guy has a big future in the movies, and I want to point the way.
The world wasn't particularly clamoring for more Space Jam after release. It was a one and done from the era where the Tiny Toons had more attention than the Looney Tunes, and slapstick cartoon comedy was usurped by the Animaniacs. If Space Jam had any legacy, it was the introduction of Lola Bunny, the counterpart to Bugs that would actually give the Wascally Wabbit a proper woman comic foil.
Has anyone here ever played basketball?
I have. I'd like to try out for the team.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Lola Bunny.
Lola?
The concept of animated characters interacting with real people was done better in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and the box office bomb of the conceptual follow-up, Looney Tunes Back in Action, quickly killed the endeavor for Warner Brothers. 25 years later, Warner Brothers is on a kick about getting their branding multiverse in order, even as AT&T looks to be selling them off to merge with Discovery. The Lego Batman movie and Ready Player One each embrace the concept of a licensing multiverse in much the way that Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, did for Disney. Michael Jordan has long since retired to the life of a somewhat private businessman, not one to act on a green screen with his otherwise eternal co-stars. With the basketball landscape having changed in 2 decades, LeBron James was chosen to be the new legend to reboot the franchise. In a news story, LeBron has to team up with the Looney Tunes to defeat Al G Rhythm, Don Cheadle's AI that has kidnapped LeBron's son in the serververse.
What in the Matrix hell?
To promote the original movie, a PlayStation game was released in the expected sports genre. To promote this new release, Digital Eclipse asked for submissions, with the result being Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game.
We asked fans from around the world to submit their best ideas for an original Space Jam: A New Legacy arcade game. We picked the winners, and our super high-tech programmer, Granny, has been hard at work developing it. On July 1st, Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game.
Which is probably going to be the title no matter what the end product was.
Dream of the 90s is what I'm still stocking. Ain't it funny that I want what others are mocking? Back when that 486 was the top thing.
A retro-stylized beat-em-up will henceforth refer to as the game. Players have the option to pick LeBron, Bugs, or Lola in a side-scrolling action title. Controls are to be expected, with basic action, jump, and dash attacks, and a special move that triggers when the player hits jump and attack. This special will use up a bit of your health, but will clear the area around you. First mark against the title, This attack is a bit too easy to accidentally activate when you're attempting a jump kick, and with the number of buttons available on the Xbox gamepad, could easily be mapped to a trigger button. Notably, the game features two ways to fight that are relatively unique for the genre. The first is one of the rare connections to an actual basketball in the title, in that there is a constantly present ball that players can pick up, pass, and either fire as a reusable projectile, or charge it for higher damage attacks. It's an interesting mechanic, and one that embraces couch co-op tactics, up to 3 players at once, as the number of balls does not increase with the number of players. LeBron and the Bunnies need to work as a team to pass the ball to each other if one player is in a better spot for a hit. The second aspect is the collectible cards in the game, each representing an iconic Looney Tune, or providing a traditional game mechanic in a pinch. Roadrunner's speed enhancing ability is great when you gotta go fast, while the Tasmanian Devil performs a screen-clearing dash attack, for example. Cards are available at the start of the game, and each player can pick one. When you're playing with a couch co-op partner, especially necessary as there's no online play, it's a good idea to pair compatible attacks. Yosemite Sam's Greed manifests as a boon of point-rewarding items, one that might be a bit useless unless you're going for a high score, but combine Granny's health rewards with Tweety Bird's strength-enhancing ability to pump you up for harder battles, and you'll dominate the field. The introductory level presents the player with the basic plot via cutscenes, and allows them to get used to the controls as they fight waves of the generic enemy in the game, the Null, all while avoiding bombs generated by a slot machine mechanic in the background. Following this, a classic break the wall screen gives each character a few seconds to escape certain death or deletion, as the digital world may find more appropriate. The second stage continues into an Egyptian pyramid, introducing destructible acme crates and the double jump mechanic to get over electric fences. Falling debris in the second enemy of the game, an upgraded version of Null known as Prime, appear as a mini-boss on the stage. A quick defeat of Prime leads the player to the next stage, the classic elevator battle. Before you can get off, the new threat of Jada attacks. Another new grunt, Jada can actually catch your basketball attack, requiring the player to change up their strategy. Complicating matters is a classic Street Fighter mandate of rolling barrels. A player can simply dodge them, but attacking and destroying them will allow some bonus items and health to help your player out. A rickety mine awaits your player, with the Frop robots leaping around the stage. The Dalek-like bucket robots move around to drop bombs. Once outside the mine, players have a few waves of enemies to defeat before handling the first real boss, the Aerobatic Brow. Like Storm Eagle of Mega Man X fame, he swoops down and attacks using the power of wind. Defeating him nets the player the Yosemite Sam summoning card, and sends the player out into the desert at dusk, visiting Bugs Bunny home and the Warner Brothers water tower in the process. The second boss, White Mamba, appears on the basketball court, using her tail as a primary form of attack. Defeating this member of the Goon Squad rewards the player with Tweety Bird's strength summoning ability, despite the fact that Tweety Bird has been the unrecognized fourth member of your heroic team, bringing the ball back every time it leaves the stage. Now in a prehistoric museum, the cameos amp up with Dino and Fred Flintstone, alongside Bugs Bunny's old designs adorning the background. Waves of enemies will try to impede you on this level, but once the player makes it to the end, they only have one challenge remaining: Algae Rhythm.
It's my game now.
Much like any screen-filling beast of the past, particularly reminiscent of Apocalypse and Onslaught from the Capcom Vs. series, Algae fights in a few different patterns and can really only take significant damage when you attack the data disk with charged attacks. The AI enemy will drop waves of enemies, fire at you from a distance, and try to crush you with its hands, but all your skills up to this point have taught you the tactics you need for this final battle. Defeating Algae Rhythm rewards the player with both a Wile E. Coyote character card in the final cinematic, alongside unlocking the boss rush mode and hard mode.
New character unlocked.
Completing both of these two modes will unlock the final two character cards, but once you beat the game the first time, is the drive really there to head back out? Boss Rush mode boils down to the 3 battles with the Brow, White Mamba, and Algae Rhythm, while hard mode amps the difficulty up. Neither truly provide a new experience, and once you complete the less than an hour playthrough, only completionists will want to go back.
This program is brought to you by the support of members of the Sundoku Zone Patreon.
I'm great in stock car a little sin, but when I represent for Kirkland, I'm known as Ultraklystron.
There's a tendency to see this game as a marketing tactic through and through. Exclusive Xbox controllers released with the title scream corporate synergy, and a short turnaround in Game Pass exclusivity also somewhat indicate a lack of faith in the title. Yet, for a freebie, there's worse ways to spend an hour. The graphics are appealing for their main characters, decidedly looking like River City Girls with a pastel palette and lack of outlines. Backgrounds feature some nice lighting and humorous jokes, so it's not just all a generic blend of regular locations. There's no Big Apple 3 AM maps. The character cards are hideous. which seem like they'd be the easiest thing to load into the game. They're nothing more than promotional pictures, and the movie has more than enough frames that could be repurposed for this goal. It almost would be nostalgic to see poorly compressed scans in this game, like a true 1990s movie tie-in would have. Music is largely forgettable, requiring a review to make sure the game didn't just have one track on loop. Playing with a partner or two definitely makes the game a bit more fun, and helps out that, as long as one person's around, the other can revive after a quick tap the button mechanic. Understandably, like the movie's direct to HBO Max nature alongside a theatrical release, your ability to gather with friends may be a bit limited due to a certain global pandemic. If this genre is one you're glad to see revived and you have Game Pass Ultimate, which, well, if you have an Xbox, that's a defining feature you shouldn't be missing out on, the grand price of free makes it a must-play, if only for the 1 hour run-through. That's it for the Sundoku Zone, but the stack never ends.